My mother-in-law, Jenny, has always been awful to me. She constantly criticized my weight and appearance. My husband, Atlas, is very handsome, while I'm just average and curvy, though he's very fit. Despite our differences, we love each other deeply. However, Jenny couldn't accept me as her daughter-in-law, calling me ugly and fat. She frequently mocked me and claimed Atlas would leave me soon. Frank, Atlas's father, was kind and never mean to me, so I hold no grudges against him. Even on my wedding day, Jenny approached me to say Atlas wouldn't stay married to me, predicting he'd get bored and leave soon. She claimed she hadn't tried to ruin our wedding because it was doomed anyway. What should have been the happiest day of my life was tainted by her cruel words. After we married, Jenny regularly made hurtful comments and warned Atlas against starting a family with me, acting like our marriage was destined to fail. About a year and a half into our marriage, Atlas had enough and decided to have minimal contact with her. We were prepared to keep our distance until something surprising happened. We found out I was pregnant with a boy. Though unplanned, we were thrilled. Atlas and I knew we had to tell his parents. He wanted to give Jenny another chance, hoping she might change for her grandson. Though I had doubts, I agreed. We decided to visit his parents and share the news in person. Jenny was happy to see Atlas after a period of low contact. When we arrived, Jenny was excited to see Atlas but froze when she noticed my slightly protruding belly. "What is that? Are you pregnant?" she asked. "Yes, Jenny, I'm pregnant," I confirmed. "Is she telling the truth? Atlas, are you too having a child?" she questioned further. "Yes, Mom, that's why we're here. We wanted to tell you and Dad in person that we're expecting a boy," Atlas replied. Frank was overjoyed, hugging and congratulating us repeatedly, reacting just as we had hoped. Jenny, however, stood frozen and slowly backed away with a shocked expression on her face. I was immediately taken aback by her behavior. After a moment, she started shaking her head in disbelief and said, No, this can't be happening. Tell me this is a joke." "What do you mean, Mom? Why would this be a joke? We are really expecting a child. Aren't you happy for us?" Atlas asked. "No, I am not happy for you. I'm extremely mad right now," Jenny replied. "Why, Mom? What's the matter?" Atlas questioned. "That woman cannot have my grandson. No, this can't happen to me," Jenny said. "What's the matter, Mom? Why are you reacting this way?" Atlas asked again. "What were you thinking, getting her pregnant? Atlas, she is completely unfit to have my grandson. She has the worst genes, and my grandson will turn out to be ugly and dumb," Jenny exclaimed. Everyone was stunned by what Jenny said. Even Frank was in shock because he hadn't expected Jenny to react so badly to this good news. Atlas was speechless, staring at his mother in disbelief. I was high on hormones and immediately started to cry because I felt utterly humiliated. I quietly sobbed, struggling to form words. Frank was the first one to break the silence. "What are you talking about, Jenny? Have you gone mad?" Frank asked. "No, I haven't gone mad, but our son sure has. Look at what he did, Frank. This is horrible," Jenny responded. "Oh my God, Mom, really? Tell me what's so horrible about what I did," Atlas retorted. "First, you married that ugly, fat woman and didn't listen to me when I said she doesn't belong in our family. Then you went ahead and got her pregnant. How could you be so careless, Atlas? Now my grandson will look like his ugly mother, and I'll have to accept that," Jenny ranted. I couldn't believe she would call her own grandson ugly if he turned out to look like me. I know I'm not the best-looking person, and I can tolerate her insults to an extent, but calling my future child ugly was too much. In my pregnancy-induced rage, I yelled through my tears, "How can you call your own grandson ugly, Jenny? I can understand that you don't like me, but how can you judge your unborn grandson? If he turns out like you, I swear I'll have a heart attack." I thought that once Atlas married you, he would realize what a big mistake he'd made and divorce you to find a better girl. But now I see that you've baby-trapped my son and absolutely destroyed his life, Jenny accused. "Baby-trapped your son, Jenny? Is that what you're saying? How can I baby-trap him when we are already married?" I cried. "You knew he would leave you sooner or later. Who would want to stay with you, let alone have a baby with you?" Jenny continued her tirade. Jenny was being incredibly cruel to me that day. She was crying and lamenting how her grandchildren would now be ugly like me. I was already feeling a little more insecure because of the pregnancy weight gain, and coupled with Jenny's horrible comments, I wanted to just bury myself in a hole. I started to cry loudly because Jenny had successfully ruined the happiness I felt from being pregnant. Atlas rushed to my side to comfort me while I sobbed. Jenny sat there looking pissed but also with tears in her eyes. Frank didn't know what to do and sat there in disbelief. After a while, Atlas looked at his mother with the most disgusted and angry expression I had ever seen on his face. He held me close to him and said to his mother, "You have crossed all limits today, Mom. How could you make my pregnant wife cry? You need to apologize to her right now." "I'm not apologizing to that woman. You need to wake up and open your eyes, Atlas. This woman isn't worth your time," Jenny retorted. "She is my wife, Mom. I love her and she's more than enough for me. I'm going to start a family with her and nothing makes me happier than this," Atlas said firmly. "You should have listened to me and taken precautions so that she didn't get pregnant. God knows whose baby she's carrying. Maybe she slept with someone else and is trying to pass off the child as yours. But then again, who would want her?" Jenny spewed more vitriol. "Shut the hell up, Mom. How dare you speak about Faith like that? Who gave you the right to insult her? I'm telling you one last time, Mom. Apologize to my wife right now," Atlas demanded. "No, I won't apologize to her. I meant every word I said, and I don't want her to have my grandson. It's the truth," Jenny stubbornly insisted. Atlas now looked even angrier. Jenny was adamant that she hadn't done or said anything wrong. She huffed, crossed her arms, and refused to look at me, probably because she couldn't stand the sight of my pregnant belly. Atlas noticed it all, and then said it in an eerily calm voice. "So you don't want my wife to carry your grandson, right?" "Yes, I don't want that woman to give me a grandson," Jenny affirmed. "Well then, you will no longer have a grandson or a son anymore," Atlas declared. "What do you mean, Atlas?" Jenny asked, shocked. "I mean that my family and I will be going no contact with you, Mom. You don't want an ugly daughter-in-law, grandson, as you put it. Very well, you won't have to associate with us anymore," Atlas stated. Jenny was taken aback when Atlas said that she wouldn't be in our lives anymore. She was in shock, and so was I. I had hoped Atlas would stand up for me, but I never expected him to cut ties with his mother so decisively. I hadn't realized that Atlas would talk about cutting Jenny off entirely. No one had expected that. Jenny looked at Atlas in disbelief and said, You would cut me off for that worthless woman." "She is not worthless, Mom. Faith is my everything, and so is my child. I have no problem cutting you off to protect my wife and child from you," Atlas replied firmly. "How can you even think about that, Atlas? I'm your mother. I carried you for 9 months and brought you into this world," Jenny argued. "I'm grateful for that, Mom, believe me, and that's why I hadn't cut you off sooner. But I draw the line when you act so viciously towards my wife and child," Atlas explained. "You're not thinking straight, Atlas. You cannot cut me off for Faith. You cannot keep me away from my grandchild," Jenny protested. "Well, watch me do that, Mom. You've already said what you said. Now it's time for you to face some consequences," Atlas stated. Jenny kept asking Atlas if he was serious, insisting that he was being unfair and that she was only looking out for him and his unborn child. After a lot of back and forth, it became clear that Atlas was serious about cutting her off. That's when Jenny turned pale. When the reality finally sank in, she started to cry loudly and said, "I can't believe this. My own son is threatening to cut me off for another woman. You seem to be forgetting that my wife is not just another woman. You will treat her with respect, although I don't expect that from you anymore." "I'm not making threats, Mom. I've decided. I want nothing to do with you," Atlas declared. "You are really overreacting, Atlas. You can't do this to me. I want to be in my grandson's life," Jenny pleaded. "Well, I don't want to keep you in his life. My son doesn't need a judgmental, cruel grandmother like you. He is better off having only one grandmother, and that's Faith's mother," Atlas replied. No, Atlas, please don't say that." Okay, I'll try not to make these comments about your wife again. Are you happy now?" Jenny tried to backtrack. "No, I'm not happy. This is not enough, Mom. When I gave you the chance to apologize to my wife, you didn't do that. You don't get to claim that you will behave now. I'm already telling you that I will try to act civil. If you really love that wife of yours so much, I'll deal with it. I've been dealing with her anyway, haven't I?" Jenny said desperately. "I don't believe a word out of your mouth anymore, Mom. You've been nasty to my wife and insult her every chance you get. That's why I went low contact with you in the first place. I came back here with Faith because I thought you would be happy to hear about our pregnancy. Now that I know how you feel, I don't want me, my wife, or my child around you," Atlas asserted. Jenny suddenly remembered that we had gone low contact with her after she repeatedly humiliated me. She realized that Atlas might cut her off for good. Once she understood this, she began to see things clearly and changed her tune, trying to appease Atlas by saying, "I understand I've upset your wife, Atlas. I was high on emotions and said some bad things. I may have hurt her feelings. I was just looking out for you." "No, you weren't looking out for me. You were trying to separate me from my wife because she doesn't match your beauty standards. For the last 2 years, you have been horrible to her, and I'm finally putting my foot down," Atlas responded. No, Atlas, don't say that. Okay, I realize I made a huge mistake. Please don't punish me like this. I swear I will change and learn to accept faith, Jenny begged. "I think it's too late for that now, Mom. I want nothing to do with you anymore. I'm pretty sure my wife feels the same way and will agree with your decision," Atlas said. "I swear I will correct my behavior, Atlas. Just give me a chance. Faith, please give me a chance. I really want to be in my grandson's life," Jenny pleaded, turning to me for help. She expected me to forgive her and ask Atlas to give her another chance. But I'd reached my limit. I held my head high and said, "I don't care what you want, Jenny. I will never forgive you or give you another chance. I've given you plenty of chances, but you've shown me what a vile person you are. How can you be so cruel to me, Faith? I'm your mother-in-law and your baby's grandma," Jenny implored. "What mother-in-law? Jenny, you never accepted me as your daughter-in-law, and you've clearly said you didn't want me to carry your grandson. So the baby in my belly is no one to you," I responded. "I said some things out of anger, Faith. I wasn't thinking straight. I can see how wrong I was. Please forgive me and convince my son not to cut me off," Jenny continued to beg. "I'm not going to do what you want, Jenny. In fact, I will do the opposite. I will support Atlas in cutting you off. Frank is welcome, but you are not," I stated firmly. But your son needs his grandma in his life," Jenny stammered. "No, Jenny, he doesn't. Atlas is right. My son doesn't need a judgmental and prejudiced grandma like you. I don't want you around my child, and you better stay away from me because I don't even want to see your face anymore," I declared. At this point, Jenny started to cry and turned to Atlas for help. She tried to play the victim card, but it didn't work on Atlas at all. In fact, it had the opposite effect. Atlas got even more angry and said, "Did you see that, Atlas? I tried to make things right with your wife, but she wouldn't listen to me. I begged her so hard." "My wife is right in rejecting your apologies, Mom. You don't deserve her forgiveness after what you've put her through," Atlas replied. "Then what do I do? Atlas, tell me how I can make it right," Jenny pleaded. "You cannot make things right, Mom. You've gone too far for us to even consider forgiving you. From now on, you will no longer have the privilege of having a relationship with me and my family. We're done here," Atlas declared. Jenny kept begging us for forgiveness, but Atlas and I stood firm. She had crossed all limits, and now she had to face the consequences of her actions. When Jenny grew tired of begging us for forgiveness, she turned to the one person who could potentially be on her side. She asked my father-in-law for help. "Are you going to sit there and watch our son abandon me, Frank? Say something. Don't you want your son in your life?" "Yes, I do want my son in my life." "Then what are you waiting for, Frank? Help me convince Atlas that he's making a mistake." "I don't think he's making a mistake, Jenny. He's right to cut you off because you have been horrible to his wife." "Wait, you're also taking their side?" Jenny was visibly shocked. "Yes, they're doing nothing wrong. They graciously gave you another chance after finding out about the pregnancy, but you blew that royally. Now you don't get to come and demand that they forgive you." Jenny was surprised to learn that even my father-in-law was supporting us instead of her. Frank had always been nice to me, but he had a hard time dealing with his crazy wife. This time he actually sided with us and spoke in my favor. I was so grateful for his support that I had tears in my eyes again. "Thank you so much, Frank. It truly means a lot to me to have your support," I said. "I'm here for you, Faith. You've been a lovely daughter-in-law, and I know you make my son happy. You don't deserve the treatment Jenny's given you. Thanks for understanding, Frank. This is why you are not getting cut off, but Jenny is. No, you won't keep me away from my son and grandbaby. I won't allow it. Atlas, please don't do this." Jenny was desperate. Jenny now realized that she was truly backed into a corner. She alternated between getting mad at us and begging us for mercy. It was bizarre seeing her so unhinged. I felt unsafe around her and left with my husband soon after. When we were leaving, Jenny tried to follow us and lunged at me from behind, but Frank caught her first, and the two started to argue. Atlas took me home to ensure I was safe. Later, Atlas called his father and found out they had a big fight. As we had decided, Atlas and I went no contact with Jenny. I asked Atlas if he was sure about this, and he said, "I'm sorry, Faith. I should not have taken you back to my parents' house. You had to listen to all of Mom's bullcrap because of me." "It's okay, Atlas. It was a joint decision, so I don't blame you. I was also hoping Jenny would be a decent grandma, so I wanted her in my son's life. Forget my mother, Faith. She doesn't deserve us. I've allowed her to badmouth you and insult you a lot. I promise I won't let that happen again. I will do my duty and protect you and our child." I forgave my husband because he didn't do anything wrong. I was glad he stood up for me and told him so. I was proud of my husband when I gushed about how he put his mother in her place. Atlas and I actually laughed about it when we were home. Pregnancy hormones can be crazy. Atlas and I went no contact and also informed everyone in the family about what Jenny had done. Frank verified our account so that Jenny couldn't spin tales to make us look bad. Most family members sided with us and told us that we did the right thing. There were a few who wanted us to forgive Jenny, but we ignored that. The pregnancy was a roller coaster ride with Jenny showing up and trying to force her way back into our lives. She didn't get much of an opportunity because we shut her out and even called the cops once. She had been removed from my baby shower and even thrown out of the hospital when I gave birth. Atlas and I welcomed our baby boy 5 months ago. I'm recovering well and was able to safely deliver my child. We are over the moon as new parents and adjusting to our new life. However, Jenny has been creating trouble for us as well. The good news is that we are filing a restraining order against her. She made some graphic threats against me, and I took all those texts to the cops. They took me seriously and told me that they would conduct a welfare check on her. Frank has also seen Jenny's unhinged version and has decided to divorce her for taking things too far. He was already pretty unhappy in the marriage, and this was the final push. Last I heard, Jenny was going to move to her sister's house in the next state. Since Frank was divorcing her, they had to leave their previous home and find separate accommodations. She never worked before, so she didn't have much money saved. She had to move in with her sister, who offered to host her for free. I'm actually happy with this outcome for several reasons. Now we can have Frank over for free and have him babysit sometimes. We also don't have to worry about Jenny harming me because she is far away now. In the end, my mother-in-law ended up losing her son, grandson, husband, and even the roof over her head. Serves her right, don't you agree?